Go, Flat Tracker, go, go, go!
The Kelpie Fat Track Pod, brought to you by Kelpie, affordable race products designed to help you stay on track. Now onto the episode.
We are very proud to introduce you to our new pod partner, Euroka Fencing. With a vast range of commercial fencing experience on large farming properties and corporate farms in central and western Victoria, Euroka Fencing offer excellent communication and attention to detail to help you get the results you need. All the details can be found at eurokafencing.com, so check them out or find them on Facebook under the same name, Euroka Fencing. G'day and welcome to another episode of the Kelpie Flat Track Pod. Awesome to be back tonight. I've got a guest on the phone. Well, I will shortly, we'll give him a bell. Rob Palmer from Undera. He is the president of the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club. And we'll give him a chat, give him a ring and have a chat with him. Lots going on at the moment, and I'm getting ready to go to NZ, so you'll get this one after I get back. Hopefully all going well. Just a last minute ride that's happening, which is awesome. If you're watching the footage, yes, there's a big red mark on my nose. My youngest daughter and I have been racing they're not pit bikes, but while mine's a Chinese 200, the one I use, and she's on an XR 100. And she roosted me. There must have been a stone in there. I had a bit of a gusher. So, heaps of fun. So in seat time, so it's been really brilliant actually riding with her. She's on school holidays and she's super smooth. Like she's actually quite hard to catch if you let her past. And if I get aggressive on it, the 200 is a bit faster, so I can gap her. But if she gets around me, sometimes I let her take the lead. But if she gets around me on her own, she's obviously feeling comfortable, and she's really hard to catch. And heaps of fun. It's great watching her get better and better. And they're both my girls that are still here in the country with us, one or 250, and I'm currently doing up bikes to sell off and make that happen. But I'm sort of not rushing it. It makes me nervous. I was actually listening to not Tank Slapping. It was with that podcast host Corey Texter on Pipe Dreams, which is another one. By James Rispoli and a Corey, somebody that I'm not familiar with. I need to do a bit of research on that. But before I go rambling off, as Macau would say, let's give him Rob a ring.
Hello, Dar.
Hey, Rob, how you going?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Yeah, excellent.
It's been a beautiful day to be outside doing things.
It is, and it's I don't know about up your way, but Jesus, the temperature's dropped off.
Oh, yeah. As soon as the sun goes down, I'm shivering.
No, it's pretty cold our way right now. So I've got a beanie on, and I was going to put the heater on, but I was running a bit high, so it was either finish my dinner or put the heater on, so I chose dinner.
Yeah. Well, I've got the open fire burning, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool. So, I sent through a few questions that I might ask you tonight. You're the president of Golden Valley Motorcycle Club. I don't know much about you. We met, would it already be a month or so ago, probably? So just wondering where you first came into contact with motorcycles. Is it something you've grown up with?
Well, Darcy, my very earliest memories of life was watching my dad trying to kickstart a motorcycle, and it was called a Panther. And I believe I must have been around about 3 years old. And the bike was mauve in colour. And he rode it off to work. And then when I was around about 5 years old, my uncle brought his kids a Honda Z50. So I was 5 years old then, and it was 13 cousins. And we used to line up, one in front of the other, single file, and no fighting, to get a ride on the bike. Oh. And that's where I learnt that you could dink on a motorbike, and that meant you got two goes. So cousin and I, we'd dink each other, and then we'd go to the back of the line. So the first ride.
I'll hold you up there just for those listeners that don't know what dink means. It means to give a passenger a ride. In New Zealand, we call it dub. I'm not
Oh,
sure
right.
what they call it in America and in other, because we have 12 countries that listen into this. So in other countries, it means taking someone for a ride. Carry on, Rob. I thought I'd just clear that up.
That's fine, mate. So, like, my dad purchased a new Honda XL 100 in 1972, and he used to dink us, or take us two up on the bike. And a couple of years later, I purchased my first motorcycle at the age of 10, and it was also a Honda 100. And I was doing paper rounds, delivering newspapers off a bicycle to save the money up so that I could purchase the motorbike. It was in a wheelbarrow. And then I saved up some more money to buy a workshop manual for it, and few parts, one piece at a time, and I put the bike back together. Oh. So I joined the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club in 1977 with the intentions to race that Honda 100. And we had a track back then out Benalla Road, which was called, was a sand pit. So it was a massive hole in the ground with soft sand. I was about 12 years old at the time. And that was when the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club first took on a lease at Undira Park Speedway that we know it now. So at the age of 12 in 1977, I raced that Honda 100 at the motocross track out at Undira. And at the same time, the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club took on a lease at a track out and built a track out of a town called Waiai. Now, out at Waiai, there was a motocross track. We had a motocross track running at Undira, and at Waiai, we also had a flat track. And that was where the old Honda 100 that I had would excel. It was faster than the 80cc four-strokes that I was racing against, but given it a couple of laps, I'd build up a fair bit of pace, and that was where I really enjoyed myself. I brought and sold motorcycles myself from the age of 13. I was fixing motorcycles for the other kids that I went to school with. And by the time I got to 16, I'd picked up an apprenticeship at the local motorcycle wreckers. It was called Bulldog Motorcycle Wreckers here in Shepparton. And I worked there for 30 years. When I first started working there at the age of 16, it was roughly about 1980, and the boss had a Kawasaki Z900, and it was turbocharged, and it ran on methanol. So I joined in on going around to the drag strips and working on this Kawasaki 900. And at the same time, Undira, in around about 1979, it had started the Speedway complex out there, and a lot of those bikes were powered by Kawasaki Z900 motors and Honda 754s and what we call Suzuki water bottles and other two-stroke, three-cylinder road bikes. They were basically bikes that had been crashed with like a sidecar attached to the side. And I started going off with the teams as their mechanic, like working in the pits. Friday nights, we used to go to a place called, a suburb called Brooklyn in Melbourne, and I used to work there. And then the next day we'd head back and we'd go to either Mildura or we'd head over to Myrtleford. They were crazy times, and a lot of fun was had. Mind you, like I was about 18, and they put me at the steering wheel of the car, my car or their car, and we'd tow the trailer. And at the end of the meeting, the boys, they'd drink a few beverages and I'd be asleep in the back of the station wagon. So, and they'd pay me to be the mechanic. I was earning more on those weekends than what I was as an apprentice motorcycle mechanic. The wages weren't great.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a touch on the road racing scene, but it was just a lot more expensive than what I could actually get into. I worked there for 30 years. Through the 1990s, I did a number of trips over to the USA to buy motorcycles and put them in a shipping container and bring them back, and we'd fix them up and we'd sell them off. Sometimes we sold them as is. there were certain trips that I did on my own where I would buy Kawasaki 900s, of course.
Yeah.
The cast iron Sportsters and what they call shovel head Harley Davidsons. I never really had any preference to what I would work on or what I would bring back to Australia, but it certainly was a lot of fun, and it was lucrative. And then when eBay came out, then there was a bit of transparency shown on how much we were paying for the stuff over there and how much you could get from back here.
Right. Okay.
So I just continually moved on. Wherever there was a hot spot in the industry, that's where I sort of went. Quad bikes were like a major source of income for a long time, but once again, government stepped in and stopped importing the import of the Honda and Yamaha and stuff, quad bikes. So I've lost the opportunity to purchase the as traded ones. Nowadays, I do restorations on any brand of motorcycle, any age of motorcycle. I also do like engine reconditioning and stuff on the late model motocross bikes. I seem to enjoy those, and there's a few people that like bringing them to me. In 2014, I got involved in the Think Desert race. So I brought a couple of new CRF 450R Hondas, and I did Yoshimura top end work to them, brought all the parts off Yoshimura, and remapped the brain box of them. And I took a young guy called Sam Davies and another young guy called Ryan Cousins.
Yeah.
And we went up to the Think, and we spent 6 weeks living out in the desert. We'd come into town for overnight, and we'd go back out in the desert for 2 to 3 days at a time. That was all funded by myself. I paid for these guys for the 6 weeks and all the equipment.
Yeah.
The two boys came in 9th and 10th overall for that year, 2014.
Yeah, awesome.
We were the only Hondas in the top 10 on that year. And Sammy Davies and Ryan Cousins continued on after that. My life changed a few directions, and I didn't get to go back to the Think, but I'd love to again. It's just one of those things that it'll come around when it comes around.
That's not the flat tracker Sammy Davies. Is it a different Sam Davies?
I think it would be. I know Sam Davies. He's from Paul Punker originally, and he lives over at Chuka Way now. So
yeah, okay.
I don't think I've seen Sam Davies do anything with flat track, dirt track stuff.
Yeah.
So that's my history with motorcycles. It started very young. I'm still very much involved in it. I think you've seen already that's where I am. I love the motorcycle people, love motorcycles, and I love the motorcycle life. It's where I am. I see young kids when they get to, because we hold mini carners quite often, and at the other motorcycle race complexes, you see the young kids when they put their helmet and their gloves and their goggles on, they instantly become another person. They find themselves on a bike, and I've always said that about myself. It's good to have that place to be. I think you guys probably understand that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's a freedom unlike any other, I think, and it sort of can be a little bit hard to explain it to someone that doesn't ride, but yeah, I mean, if you just look on social media and see all the videos and documentation of people talking in motorbike language to each other, it's it's definitely a sensational feeling, and it's hard to relate to people that don't get it. I think they have to have a ride, and then I would say my putting people on bike success rate of enjoyment has been at least 95%. It's not many people come off going, oh, I never want to ride that again. But you do get the odd one every now and then. But so Golden Valley Motorcycle Club, sounds like there's a lot of history there.
Well, look, I've been looking online just over the last few months, just experimenting, and I found out a lot more that the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club actually started somewhere around about 1907.
Oh.
I found a write-up in the local newspaper, which was called the Shepparton Advisor back then, and there was a petition signed by the local motorcycle owners that it was involving that they didn't want to pay registration on motorcycles, and they were taking it to the state government to hand it to them down in Melbourne at the government house down there at the time. So there's mention of the club at 1907, and then naturally through the First World War, the club it goes quiet, and then it reappears in the local newspapers in the 1930s. They were having ride afternoons and gatherings. It was called once again the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club. So that's in the 1930s, and then it all goes quiet as the Second World War takes place, and then it refires up after the Second World War. And recently I was talking to a man that was in his 90s, and he purchased a motorcycle from the local Honda dealer, which was called Housel Honda. He'd brought a new BSA in 1956, and the proprietors of the complex invited him to join the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club to go on a dinner ride at a place called Dookie, which is that's pretty much the nearest hills to Shepparton. So
Yeah, okay.
once again, it's in the newspaper about they did an overnight ride, and they were looking for hidden treasures up in the Strathbogies, which is up in mountain ranges. So this club has been started, and then it's gone quiet, and then it's been restarted. But in 1968 was the commencement of what we know of the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club now. Some of those members are still alive and in around the Shepparton area, and in our club rooms we've got like an honour board that mentions the founding members of 1968. It was registered then as a club in 1968, and it's been continually running since. I joined in 1977 as a 12-year-old because I wanted to race. I did know about the complex because I'd been out and watched along the way. That's where I started, and I've been a member ever since. Sometimes I've stayed away because life takes you in different directions, but I've always maintained that I've been a member of the club. So.
Yeah, right. And so you said the Undera complex was purchased second, is that right?
We never purchased it. It's a lease.
Oh, okay. Yep.
It was about 1977, 78 that we took on the lease of Undera, and that we created the motocross track. So the speedway track got underway in 1979, and it was pretty much instantly got underway because we had a couple of local families that really wanted it. There's a family called North. Rodney North, he's sort of early 60s. He became a very good international rider, and it's because his father wanted this track to get built out there at Undera. With his friends, Mr. North, called Grandfather North, off they went and they created the Undera track that we know of now. And then progressively over the years, upgrades were done, and like through the 1980s, there was lighting there, but it just got better and better. We've got a very good set of lights out there, and that was how it sort of formed, 1979, and it's been up and running. In the 1980s, when I was a teenager, almost it was 2 to 3 weekends of the month there'd be racing at Undera of some sort. There was always a lot of sidecar racing at Undera. The locals talk to building sidecars out of any sort of a crashed road bike or down condition looking road bike, and off they'd go. They were probably equivalent to 4 weeks' wages back then to build a competitive bike.
Yeah.
But then when you converted them into methanol, you had to do a lot more work to the motor, and they got be a bit more costly to build the methanol. But the crankshafts of that era were all needle roller on the 4-stroke stuff, so they handled the high compression and the high revs of methanol.
Yeah.
Like over the years, the people that have come and gone, like the Andrew Cleve and Dave Power on their sidecar bikes, they were very, very successful. As I think Andrew ended up being 5 times Australian champion. He's a local person, and he's still very the Cleve family's still very much involved in Undira as far as like being sponsors, and if we ever need anything that they can provide, they're the first. The same as the North family. As soon as you need something, Rod North, he's straight in there. He'll give you what you need. You'll even see it coming and prompt you and say, you need this, you need that, and you've got to do this to make it work. So very appreciative of those families that have been there for a very long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot more history than I thought there was there. I'd briefly heard of Undira Speedway Complex and that, but I didn't really. I sort of thought it was had fallen away and wasn't really operating, to be honest. And then I started hearing a bit more about it, and then heard about your practice night there, and that's how we came into contact. To come and had a ride, and then had a ride on the dirt track, which hopefully will be reinstated soon. And it's an awesome complex. Was the footy ground always there as well?
The footy ground was always there before us, but through the 50s there was some car speedway racing that took place.
Oh, right.
50s and 60s there was speedway cars, modified sedans and things. And that's a little bit before my time, but I have found photographs of the era. Like, we're talking old Triumph, open wheels, MGs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And was the track still, because it's quite a tight little track, like it's a nice track. I like it because it's quite different. But the radius is pretty sharp. Like, was it always that way, or had it been modified? You said upgrades have happened over time. Has the track shape stayed the same the whole time?
Well, the guy North, that his son became very good, Rodney became very good racing over there. They had knowledge of the distance of the tracks in Europe. And that's why Undira is the size that it is, because that was the standard size for most tracks over in Europe. They weren't massive size tracks. They were the size of Undira.
Yeah, right.
Undira earned its nickname, the Bull Ring, way back in the era, because if you can't ride it, it's going to horn you pretty hard.
Sure will. Yeah, it's I had a little walk before we went out, and I'm saying to the boys, just stay away from the wall, because there's nothing like on other tracks we can rail the wall, but there's no rail in that sucker. Plus it had airbags, so that doesn't really work.
Yeah, well, like the things that changed in Undira over the years was definitely the fence, the crash fence.
Yeah.
That fence that we've got there is a cantilever. If you hit it, the bottom rail lifts up, the top rail can cushion, and it's got a rubber belt. So I've seen numerous bikes hit it. Unfortunately, people do get things wrong and they've hit it.
Yeah.
Even last year, a sidecar hit it very hard, and the sidecar was going backwards when it hit the fence. Well, the fence lifted up almost a metre off the ground, because once the bike got caught in it, it's like a spring-loaded device. It just lifted up, cushioned the fall.
Yeah, right.
Everyone hit the ground again, and away it went. This nickname for it has been the Bull Ring. It's always been there. It's a different skill level needed to negotiate the track, and once you've mastered it, you can become the fastest at it against your competitors. And the only way you get there is by practice. You got to find out how to use the track and use that in your advantage with the guys that haven't been paying attention to what it's all about. The surface that you're actually riding on there is called it's dolomite, which in another term it's like the bonding clay.
Yeah.
And then with granite, the 3 or 4 millimetre size pieces of granite rolling across the top, and that's what gives you a sliding action. And then the moisture is held in by the dolomite as well. So we've taken in over 200 metres of that soil onto that track in the last 6 months. So that track has been ripped to the depth of about 200 mil. Yeah. And then we've brought in over 200 metres of the new replacement soil. we've blended the new stuff with the old stuff, and then we've put a continuous camber right around the whole track.
Yeah.
We've got the track looking better and it's riding better than what it has done for a very long time. And COVID affected our club really hard, and we are still trying to climb up out of that COVID break. We've got a lot of volunteers that turn up and they want to help, but the next step is to get a lot of competitors. We need a lot of use of the complex to give us to the next level. Of recovery. That's the pathway to recovery, is to get it back online, to get it used, and then we can throw money back at it. I don't know if you noticed that when you rode out there. I've been to other speedway complexes that are lit up, and they're not as bright to ride on as Undira.
Oh, it was like daylight. It's I'll just throw my $2 worth in there. I think it's a fantastic venue for a number of reasons. Not only the surface was really good, you didn't get roosted to buggery. It was, it was really nice. I enjoyed it actually. And the skill level needed to ride it made it even more fun. And I could just see it being a really racy track, like 6 to 8 bikes on it. The spectators are right on the track, and they're up on an embankment. You've got a bar, you've got great lighting. That place should be going off on a Saturday night. It's an awesome facility.
Around Shepparton, the towns we have are Kyabram, Tatura, Echuca, and Shepparton. It's and Mooroopna.
Yeah,
they're the locals, and they've got a massive love of Undira. There's generations of people that have enjoyed it as a spectator. You've only got to mention the names like Cleve, Power, Anderson's, Frick, everybody that's ever raced there. They've all got their own fanfare waiting for them. You've only got to get these people to reappear, and the gates, you'll have over 1,000 people return to Undira the moment you start getting these people back out there racing. So that's where we're aiming at.
Yeah.
To get the racing happening again. And it's step by step. Can't go too hard.
Yeah.
Just go as we can go.
Yeah.
Having the dirt bikes out there, like the flat trackers out there, dirt track bikes. From my point of view as a mechanic, I didn't hear the rev limiter, which says to me that the guys were riding and changing gears, and that therefore they were making kilometres per hour, and the bikes were sliding sideways, and they had a fair bit of pace. And as a spectator, with the colours of the bikes, the pace of the bikes, the rooster tail coming from the back of the bikes, that's what our spectators are really going to enjoy. That, so we can get some dirt track racing happening there. I can guarantee you that the crowd will be impressed.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, because that practice night, I was impressed with how many locals turned up to have a look, and they didn't really get a taste of what racing there would be like. They saw the bikes release one by one with a pretty big safety gap in between us, and I tell you what, racing will be a whole different ball game as far as excitement levels for spectating, because she's a bar banging track, I reckon, and it's in a positive way, not a negative way. I don't think it's a dangerous track. I think it's just going to be tight, close racing, and the fact that the spectators are right there, that's the best sort of track. When they're really spread out, and you miss a lot of the action, because the front runners are when they're dicing it up there, 400 meters away from where you're standing, or plus, in some of the longer tracks. So you sort of miss out on a little bit of the action. As we're there at Undira on the speedway circuit for short track, I think it'll be really exciting. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a sidecar championships there, and that was exactly like that. I mean, I can't imagine 4 sidecars going there at top noise, because it's pretty tight. I don't know how they would have passed and stuff, but apparently it happened. Apparently it was very exciting to watch as well. So
they do nudge one another when the sidecars are out there. They tend to touch one another.
Yeah.
they continue to racing. It's the atmosphere of Undira. They know that it's close, and if you want to start putting your hand up and saying let's disqualify him because he touched me, the race won't ever get finished. It's very, very close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a cool track. I really love it. So what sort of inspired you to become the president of the club now? Like it sounds like you've been a member off and on for a long period of time. This is your first year as president, isn't it?
I came in August in 2022.
Yeah.
Life for me has had a few handbrakes along the way, and I would have loved to have put my hand in and done this 15 years ago, but without going into it, I explaining why I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And I just know that if I don't do it now, I'm never going to get it done. And like my love for all things motorcycle becomes apparent once you get to know me. It's paid for. The house that I live in is paid for through motorcycling. The clothes I wear, the cars I drive, the places I've been in my life, everything's about motorcycling. There's no other way of explaining that. It's paid for everything that I eat, sleep, everywhere. It's all about motorcycling.
That's awesome.
So
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with giving back to what gave to me, and I really enjoy motorcycle people. Like everybody that I meet that's into motorcycling, I don't think many of them would get to say, I don't particularly like this gentleman. Like,
Yeah.
I know the hardships involved in owning a motorcycle, especially working in the motorcycle shop. People would come in and pawn their motorcycles to get through Christmas and then work their way through the rest of the year to buy the motorcycle back. And sometimes it was parts off their motorcycles. I know it's hard going.
Yeah.
And if you're into racing, it's even harder because it's what you're passionate about. It's what you want to do. But if you've got a family, you got to get this ratio of what you're not giving to your family because you're purchasing these motorcycles and paying your fees to race the motorcycle. It's all goes hand in hand. So with our club, I'd sort of seen it. It was confronting having the boundaries that COVID gave us. And I sort of sat down to myself one day and I sensed that it was either going to fold or me get involved and have a crack and give inspiration to the people that have been in it for a long time, but perhaps didn't know which way to go, especially with the advancement of technology in running a club, like being able to fill in online forms and bits and pieces. It's not hit the fax machine and fill in a couple of yes and no answers and then faxing it back. Now it's online. Like now it's got to be done that way, or else it's not considered a filled in form. So I've got somebody that helps me do all of that, and that's what we've been able to move forward with the club. There's a lot of love for Undira around the area, and I wanted to give back to the local area, their Undira, by me getting involved and in a lot of ways trying to reinvent the wheel, because a lot of the things that we do in our club we've been doing for a long time, and just get them back. There's a lot of the extra events, the extra activities that the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club do prop up with what we need to do out at Undira.
Yeah.
Without having major events allocated our way, we have to be inventive on keeping the income stream coming, or else we'll lose Undira and we wouldn't know what's going to happen to it there. So we want to keep it. So that's why I've become the president, and I've got friendships that go back a long way in amongst the membership as well. So they help me good.
And so do you guys, I've noticed on social media, you're not actually called the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club, or is there another page under that name as well?
What we are the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club. We had a separation from another group that called themselves the Golden Valley Junior Motorcycle Club. When we got really successful with Undira, it got too big. The junior side of the racing was very big, and so was the speedway side of racing. So we had a decision, like a group decision, to say we want to stay with speedway, and these other guys said that they wanted to stay with the juniors. So that's how there ended up being two clubs in the area, but there's only one letter difference. You've got Golden Valley Motorcycle Club and then you've got Golden Valley Junior Motorcycle Club. And the Golden Valley Junior Motorcycle Club is only a few kilometres just out of Mooroopna towards Undera. And we're, another 15 kilometres further until you get to Undera. The social media pages are available. We mostly use Undera Park Speedway.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the main page that we like to use, is Undera Park Speedway. And it is actually the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club that runs Undera Park Speedway Facebook page. Socially, we've got another page. It's the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club. And it's about 330 members that are on that. It's mostly if we're having a dinner ride or a working bee and bits and pieces, we'll put it up on there. Undera Park Speedway Facebook page, we like just to promote what's actually happening in the way of riding or practicing or racing at Undera. It's not the go-to place to find out what's happening within the club, as in day-to-day management stuff. So I hope that answers your question there, Darcy.
Yeah, no, it does, because I was just thinking, if people want to get in touch with you, what's like you were sort of stating before, a lot of stuff's done online there, and I was just thought I'd outline that a bit, because we had a bit of a chat about it when I was up there last time. I thought I'd better make it clear, so and find out for myself the way you guys work it, which is great. So you answered it perfect. Oh, excuse me. So you have a dirt track up there too, which we were very fortunate to have a ride on. It was a lot of fun, actually. It's got a lot of potential, in my opinion, as well. So when the dirt track's complete and ready for competition, what days do you think they'll be most likely to run, and what ideas is the club contemplating around the dirt track? So we're sort of on the day you talked about double headers and that sort of stuff. Has much more been discussed about that, or?
Yeah, we've had a talk about it at our recent club meeting, and so out at Undera Park Speedway, we're on a lease with the recreation committee, and we've got two Sundays per month that we're actually allowed to use the facility without being in contact with them. If we want to use it on a Saturday night, we contact them, and they 99% of the time have always said yes, you can use it.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about doing is having some qualifying races at Undera on the dirt track on the Saturday afternoon, and then under lights have the finals on the actual speedway track. But we're also open to any suggestions that anyone else can come up with. If we wanted to start Saturday afternoon on the dirt track and then finish on Sunday on the dirt track, because we've got ample camp facilities out there, as you've seen. People can stay. There's no nearby neighbours. There's plenty of room, and we're just open to anyone that asks what they want to do. They're not going to hear the word no. It doesn't exist in the vocabulary of the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club.
Yeah, so in relation to that, like you were saying that you're doing some, you have some motorcycle rallies happening out there and other events. So if people are looking for somewhere to hold an event, you're more than welcome to be approached, or they're more than welcome to approach you on that.
Yeah, we're happy to have a crack at anything, any suggestion that anyone comes up with. We've also had a swap meet out there about 3 weeks ago. It was a motorcycle-only swap meet that Golden Valley Motorcycle Club held at Undera Park Speedway, and that's the second year that we've had it. Some of the stall holders like to stay the night before. Yeah. And, we had full catering out there. It was a sunny day, so there was a lot of people used it as just a reason to get on their bike or get in their nice shiny car. Yeah. And they came to Undera and had breakfast and bacon and egg roll and bits and pieces and had a chat, and then off they went. And then the next car or 10 motorbikes turn up. So it was a very successful thing.
Yeah, driving in there, I got all excited. I'm not sure why. Well, I sort of do know why. I just sort of think that is how every country speedway should be. It made me feel like the sport was included because it was next to the footy oval and in the recreation area of a small town. And I thought that was awesome because it would seem to be so excluded. And I think if you said to someone that, a high level motorcycle racer as an athlete, they'd probably laugh at you, But as you know, being around motorcycles and motorcycle racing all your life, and I know, and anyone else that takes the sport seriously, we bloody are athletes and should be recognised for it. And I think, it made me feel like it was really included in that community there. And then it was just backed up by the amount of people that come to watch a practice night and come and have a drink around the bar and a chat. I just thought, that's just awesome. I think it's really good. I wish there was more like it, like more towns like that had a football ground, a speedway, or a dirt track next to it, where another social meeting point for the community. I think it's fantastic. So one of the questions I sort of put down was, it's more for other people. I've been there. What sort of facilities are available for fans and racers? Like we've talked about the bar. You have a bit of a canteen in the pits going normally, or?
No, look, in the pits on a bigger night, we would have a canteen in the pits.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's we've got the amount of people there that we can accommodate for them with just the one kitchen running, which is in that bar cooking area
Up the top, yeah.
Yeah, but there's facilities there to cater. There's another canteen that I don't think you've seen, but it can cater for 2,000 people. It's just another building that's built back a little bit.
Okay.
All of the walls open up, and it's a fully decked out kitchen. So
yeah, right.
We can cater for up to 2,000 people in there, and that's what we did in 2020, 2019. That's the sort of size crowds that we had out there at that point of time.
Yeah.
And then if you really wanted to cater for a lot of people, that's when they start bringing in those food vans and bits and pieces, and it gives it more variety to what's available. We're open to all of that sort of stuff. We're not trying to starve people on site. You work out how big is it going to be, and then you make sure you cater for it plus a bit more.
Yeah. But look, I think from discussions with you at this point, the more money the club can put back into the club at the moment, the better it is for everyone. You've talked highly about, some ideas that you want to do and some new toilet facilities and that sort of thing. So I think it's pretty important to help build it up so that you can have these bigger events more often and keep growing it and bringing that stuff to your community.
There's a lot of there are grants available for infrastructure improvement, but one of the necessary things that you need to have on hand is how much you've recently used it in the past 12 months. When you're applying for a grant, you want to be able to prove that how many people were there, how many times you used it, how many of them were male, how many of them were female. You haven't got showers, you need showers. You haven't got a female dedicated toilet in the pits area, you need a dedicated female toilet in the pit area. They're the things that we're up to at the moment. We love doing these practice days and these practice nights and the mini carners that we've been doing.
Yeah,
that's primarily what we're enjoying. The other thing is that when we apply for grants to build these things, we've got proof to say that we need them, and we'll be able to provide a better environment once we've got them. So that's all part of that.
Yeah. So probably sounds like you are sort of baby stepping it on the way to being able to hold championship rounds and that sort of stuff. And as you say, there's a big sidecar following in Shepparton, and which is probably the biggest closest town, isn't it, Shepparton? And so do you think that's the long term sort of plan, is to be able to host a couple championships a year and then maybe focus on sort of club level events for the rest of the year.
Oh, for certain. We applied for 2024 solo championship stuff.
Yeah.
We weren't successful, but we did try.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that if we had been allocated that we would have been able to manage it. We've been partnering with SSRAV and Harley Club Victoria because we want them people to be using our facility, and at times they'll be able to help us if we're short-staffed in any way, even if we've got we need officials like these guys are going to be there to help us because we're helping them.
Yeah.
Undera is for everyone to use that owns and rides a motorcycle, if it's on race level or if it's fun level, like with the mini Kanas. It's there for everyone. We didn't create it to close it, to have narrow pathway of users. This is open to all motorcycle user groups. That's pretty much where I'm at with it, and the club membership as well. We could handle a big meeting. You've seen the size of the place.
Yeah.
But we don't. Our track is small. It's bull ring. The air fence is not there. If you want to ride it and you want to ride it fast, then that means you're going to win. And that's where we're going with it. We need to have things like the Kelpie Cup, some other forms of dirt track racing. No matter who calls it, how it gets arranged, who's involved in it. In hand, there'll be shared monies to say, look, you won the race, here's your prize money.
Yeah.
This club has come from somewhere else. It comes and uses Undera Park Speedway. We'll have a portion of what's made, and they'll take away the portion that they want.
Yeah.
And we'll be using the money for prize money. Once our bills are paid and we're up to date with our maintenance plans, we'll always be giving out point money and prize money. And that's the way it was done in the 80s and the 90s, that you paid your riders because they came and put on the show and the spectators paid to watch. And that's where we want to go.
No, it'd be awesome. Yeah, and I'd like to see a lot of flat track racing happening there. I think the bull ring's a great name for it, and we'll definitely stick. I'll promote that name for sure, and we'll try and get some more racing happening out there, or get some racing happening out there. On the 13th of May, you've got another practice night. What time's that kick off? How do people get involved if they want to get involved in that?
So that there is going to be at 5 o'clock. You sign in. Ideally, contact us to make sure that we haven't hit above. The last time we ran 24 bikes, but you were there.
Yeah.
Everybody got 8 rides. Everybody got to go out 8 times, and there was a little bit of lag time. People not getting on the track as quick as they could. They could have got 9.
Oh, yeah.
So if we end up with 50 riders, it might cut it back to 6 turns.
Yeah.
All right. So we might cap it at 50, but certainly the first 50 in are going to get a ride. We'll be shutting down at around about 10:30 p.m. like we did last time. Yeah. And as you know, everybody had a lot of rides. And the following day we have Mini Kana, and that starts at 9 a.m. And that runs till 1 p.m. That's on the 14th.
Yeah, cool.
The Mini Kana is very important to the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club. We've found that when the kids come out at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, that dad, mum, grandma, grandpa. So we have 3 generations on site. And some of these families, they've been into motorcycles for as long as me, and if not longer. So it's very important to the membership of the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club to see that sort of thing happen, because we know that's our future. These little kids with their parents are going to be the next officials in the club, and the next possibly champions that are there. That's what we want to do. We want to get the families in, get them off their Xboxes and Game Boys, whatever they play with. Yeah. And get them involved in the motorcycle. I've noticed that with the dirt track racing that's getting around Australia, that you don't have to have a brand new, most expensive motorcycle to be a winner. That can be won and have a lot of fun on 10, 15, 20-year-old bikes. So that means it's not the man with the most money wins. That's the other thing that we like about this dirt track. It's a skill-based winning thing. You don't have to have the most expensive to be the best winner.
Yeah, definitely. There definitely is an element of that. I think when you get into the Australian titles and that sort of thing, that sort of peak of the sport, it does get a little bit money-wise on engines. But at your track, on the ball ring, I don't think horsepower would help you at all. I think, I think any bike with a good rider on there could win, because it's more how you deal with it than the horsepower, I feel. But I could be wrong. But I reckon that's the way. The dirt track, I'm not sure. How was our feedback received? Will there be some changes happening there? I actually enjoyed it the way it was, but I sort of do agree with the guys that to make it a little bit safer in a race environment, probably widen a little bit. But apart from that, I thought it was fantastic.
Well, what we're looking at doing is we're going to make it a metre wider from the inside, a metre wider from the outside.
Yeah.
So 2, and we're going to put a camber on it all the way around.
Yeah.
I've spoken to our track curator. His name's David Hessian.
Yeah.
He's the one that's been looking after the bull ring.
Yeah.
Not bad, because he owns all of his own equipment, the road grader, the tip trucks, the excavators, everything we need.
Yeah.
And he's passionate. He also owns motorcycles, and he just loves motorcycles and motorcycle people.
Is Dave the gentleman I was talking to on the day?
I'd say yes. Dave was there on that day.
Yeah.
So Dave's gone off and he started doing some sketching. He started doing some diagrams. We've got to include drainage, so that because there's a dam in the middle that everyone will drain to.
Yeah.
He hasn't come back to me with a price yet. He said, "Don't worry about it, Robbie. It's a 3-day job." Last time he said that, it took him 14 days. He says to me, "Don't worry about it. It's a 3-day job." I know that he means he's going to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just working out when we're going to do it.
Yeah.
He's doing it for Nick's, but he does it in between other jobs. So that's what's going to happen there. It's you guys experimented with where you wanted to have the start line, and that's where we've been out there and measured all of that up and talking about drainage and some just a few little poisonous weeds that have to be removed from the area. But it's underway. I can't guarantee you on what date, but I'd say it'll be within this year.
Okay.
We had a preliminary inspection by Motorcycle Australia of that particular track, and it's a work in progress. So we could be using that before you know it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
In the meantime, don't forget you've got the bull ring.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I'm getting to work on my imagination with that. Don't worry about that. I get this trip home out the way, and then start thinking a bit more about it. We've also got the AFTN coming up soon in July, and there's the New South Wales titles in Gunnedah as well. Brendan's wants to go up there. We did that last year, and that was pretty good. That's an oil track. That's actually something I was thinking about too. Is the surface that you've got at the moment is could be like a loose oil sort of surface, but I don't know how you go about creating an oil track these days. I imagine there's probably lots of laws saying
environmentally you just won't get it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But I actually I it had its challenges, the surface, but once you guys work it a bit, it's going to change again anyway once it's got camber and drainage, and it's been ripped up and graded a few more times and that sort of stuff. So reassess after that. But I actually thought the surface was pretty cool. I like the way that it's not like every other track in Victoria. It's quite different. I think that's what we need when they're when they're all similar, and if they're all too perfect, then they're no fun. I reckon it's just more of the same. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I think it's really awesome, and looking forward to seeing how it progresses, and hopefully we will be a part of it too, and help you guys out and get more people up there racing to give the motorsport fans up that way something to watch.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. Yeah, so does the club offer sponsorship packages at the moment for any businesses that might be listening that want to support the club, or anyone, any personal sponsors or anything like that? Do you accept that sort of stuff?
Oh, look, we have a club membership that a lot of people buy into, and that's like a financial kick along.
Yeah.
And we also have general sponsorship packages that encompass brand advertising at events or more long-term track, because we can put sign writing on the fence for a 12-month period.
Yeah.
And that can be renewed. That's on the speedway track inside the bull ring. And we can create a sponsorship that works for anyone and any business. Like, we love a challenge. So if anybody was to contact us and say, how about we do this, or does this suit you, then once again, they won't hear the word no. Whatever they want to do, we're going to be there to work with them, so we get the yes across the line. Yeah,
awesome. And one of the other things which I meant to mention earlier, but I got distracted and saw a lead to something else and moved on. But you actually offered a couple bikes for people to have a go on the night too, on the Saturday night, and yeah, that was awesome. Is there a story behind those bikes?
One of the bikes is a 125 that I purchased in the gap of COVID. It was cheap. I spotted it as being cheap. It was a Solo 125 Jawa.
Yeah,
it's got like a Chinese motor, and it's proven to be absolutely positively just hassle free, just very reliable. And the young girl Lily Cottrell visited Undira Park bit over a year ago, and I walked through the pits and said, is anybody wanting to have a ride? Now, her sister was swinging on the side of a Walker, Christopher Walker's sidecar.
Yeah.
And young Lily said, I want to have a go. And her mum nearly fell over and said, oh my God, what's happened here? She's never wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And young Lily got on that bike and found that she could ride it, and she rode it for 6 months. They actually took the bike away from me, and Chris Hume helped her learn how to ride it.
Yeah.
As well as with Stevie Wright and Tony Nagel. They all sort of helped along the way.
Yeah.
Lily started to win races, and then she got to the age where she could actually ride a 500. So she got a 500cc bike given to her from a family that she's often riding now. So she used our bike as that stepping stone. The club itself actually owns two 125s. One's a Honda-powered 125. We've got a young kid, Nick Slew from Marupna, and no doubt when he said to me he's going to be the next speedway champion of the world, I actually believe him.
Yeah, nice.
I've seen the way he rides, and he's got this natural thing going on there. And we've also picked up a young girl called Matilda. She's from down Melbourne area somewhere. Pereira, I think the surname is.
Okay.
So she's got access to one of the 125s at all times. The sidecar that you saw out there, I've got a couple of sidecars. One's a designated speedway sidecar from the early 1980s. It's got a Kawasaki Z900 motor in it.
Yeah.
And one that I had out there the other day, that's like a dirt track outfit, that thing that does left and right corners.
Okay.
And that's also got a Kawasaki Z1000 motor in it that I took out there and just offered to the guys. I've got a TT 600, 1970, TT 500, that orange bike. That's the 1974 model. That's available to anybody that wants to have a go. The way I do it is if somebody comes out and pays their fees to run their own bike at the bull ring, they're the people that are offered to have a ride on the loan stuff. It's not a hire.
Yeah.
You've got to be using your own bike before you get the foot in the door to use one of our club or my bikes are basically for the club.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to come out, we had a CR 500 two-stroke out there the other week.
Yeah.
That guy is a long-term. He's a motorcycle mechanic, and he's brought that bike, and he's had it for years. But he's a bit old. He was just looking for someone to ride it. So that's what happened there. So.
Yeah, I was talking to the bloke that was riding it, and he had never done it before. And I'm thinking, you're going out there on the CR 500. But yeah, he had a ball. He loved it.
And the suspension was set up for motocross.
Yeah, so yeah, I went over to them after his first session and said, "Oh, you might just want to slow down the rebound and stiffen up the compression." And yeah, they did that. Said it was much better after that, which was good. But yeah, I'm sure that they could do a whole lot more fiddling with it. But he looked like he was having a lot of fun, and that's what the whole night's about anyway. So
a lot of fun. The hot dogs were excellent. And the service at the bar was great. Next one, it'll be a bit colder. So, like, we had those fire drums set up for the spectators.
Yeah.
They'll be popular at the next one. There's possibly going to be more coffee and hot chocolate sold at the next one than anything else. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't have the time to go and check that bar out. I had a bit of an oil leak I had to fix because we'd put my engine back together a couple of days before, and unfortunately tore the corner of the rocker cover seal. And after my first session, I was lined up for the second one, and Jesse Davies said, "Oh, are you blowing oil?" I said, "I don't think so." And I looked down, I went, "Actually, it is a bit wet, isn't it?" And so, yeah, quickly went to fix it. I only missed one session, which was good. But yeah, like you said, we could have got a lot more, and if we just kept lining up straight after sessions. But yeah, I sort of was relaxing my arms and my body a little bit. But yeah, next time I think I'll be lining up a bit more straight after and try to push in a few more sessions, because when 10:30 came around, we sort of the bottom lip curled over a bit. We were just warming up.
I noticed the people that stayed overnight, how much they enjoyed the fact that they could stay overnight. We lit the fire in the pit area because all the bikes had been packed up. There was no flammable fuel sort of issue going on there.
Yeah.
And for people to sit around in chairs and yarn, just having a good old chat. And when I got out there the next morning at 8:30, I yelled out 3 VB to anyone that wants one, and no one put their hand up. So.
Yeah, that's the latest. I've stayed up for a long time. I don't drink alcohol, and it was entertaining enough to keep me awake until about 2:00, I think. And apparently after that, a bottle of whiskey still came out. So yeah, they were enjoying themselves, and yeah, it was a really great experience, and we really appreciated the bacon and eggs cooked the next morning and everything. It was fantastic, mate. You're a great host, and I definitely recommend it to all our listeners that are in travelling distance to come and check it out. And yeah, once we get a race meeting happening there, I'll definitely be plugging the hell out of it. And for a rider, I think it's got to be one of the most funnest, isn't a word, but funnest tracks. Yeah, once you get your head around it, at first you sort of go, but yeah, once you've cut a couple laps and you figure it out, yeah, it's really awesome, that bull ring, and the dirt track equally, because they're quite different than a lot of the other speedway tracks and dirt tracks in Victoria. And wow, actually pretty much anywhere I've been, New South Wales as well. Yeah, it's really good. It's the dirt track's probably closer to as far as shape, maybe something like Temora, like the right-hander at Temora is pretty sharp as well. Yeah, so I think it's sort of similar to that, but it's still, yeah, a lot more. It's nothing like Broadford, nothing like Mildura. I haven't done Mount Beauty, so I can't comment on that one. And the speedway track is very different to Myrtleford too. So yeah, I think it's a great addition to Victoria's racetracks, and yeah, I hope it really blossoms. And yeah, all the best to you guys at the club, and I'll do my most just to help things happen there, because we love having different places to ride at.
Thank you very much, Darcy. The vintage motocross track is there. Well, we call it the vintage motocross track because it's hasn't got high jumps. Like, it's not a real demanding motocross track. I know you guys had a bit of a spin around it, and that's available to anyone that wants to ride a vintage motocross bike around.
Look, even on a modern, I think it'd be quite good fun, especially if you like me and you're not a big jump sort of person. Like I like jumps, but I don't like jumps with huge kickers and that sort of stuff because my skill level's not there. I never raced motocross as a young kid. I did BMX racing and stuff, but I had a lot of fun on that. I was on American flat track tires, and the kids have been ripping around there in the morning. And I wish I went on it before they had gone out on it. but it was it was a lot of fun. I was just searching for the hard pack lines, and there was still hard pack lines that just weren't in the fastest line of the track. But I reckon it was heaps of fun. It's a good sort of turn track. The jumps aren't too intimidating. So I think anyone, whether they're on a vintage or a modern, if they're beginner to intermediate, they'll have a blast. Even if they're experienced, I think, that's where an experienced guy on like a classic scrambler or something will have an absolute blast out there.
Well, it's available to that user group as well. If anyone's listening out there that wants to have a go, wants to organise with us a vintage motocross day, then we'll definitely, once again, never say no. We're a yes club for motorcycling, so just contact us and we'll have it happening.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, thanks so much for getting on the blower tonight, mate, and having a chat. I know you're a little bit worried about talking on the phone and stuff or whatever, but you've done a great job. It's not the most natural thing to do podcasts and stuff if it's not what you're used to doing. So I appreciate you taking the time out and having a chat to us. And hopefully we'll get you on again and be promoting some events and talking about the new dirt track there.
Thanks very much, Darcy.
No worries, mate. We'll catch you soon.
I'm going to say thank you to SSRAV and the Harley Club Victoria, and even the Colby guys, for the recent time that they came and used Undera, and we look forward to many more times of doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. Sorry, I should have given you that window there to thank anyone you wanted to, or sponsors, or.
Well, the ball ring's got the names of the sponsorships on them, so just come out and have a look who they are. Yeah,
sounds like a plan. All right, well, hopefully I'll see you out there on the 13th. I haven't got my night shift job roster yet, but if I can change it, I will. But I'll let you know what my movements are going to be a bit closer to the date anyway. But take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Darcy. Bye-bye, mate.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Thanks, mate. So, there you go. Robert Palmer, president of Undera Park, the Golden Valley Motorcycle Club. I had him on the phone there. A little bit easier than doing the Zoom for some people, and just a little bit easier sometimes. And so that's the way we went. Good insight to Undera and the plans that are hopefully going to go ahead there, and get behind them, guys, and support them if you're in the neighbourhood. And I'm genuinely being genuine about my thoughts about the place, and I really love it. It's got me excited. And don't get me wrong, I love all the other tracks around the neighbourhood too. But it was just good to have something different, and it's fun. And I really do believe it's a spectator track as well as a racy track. I think it will be exciting, and it'll definitely be bar to bar. Like, she's pretty tight, the bull ring, and but I think that just makes it awesome. Like, I'm sure there will be people. Well, we already know there's people out there that don't like short tracks and that, so they won't come and they'll miss out on the fun. But for the guys that do love that challenge, the racing will be fantastic, and you won't regret a trip out there. So yeah, I would start expressing your interest now, or as soon as you hear this one, which is you'll still, it's probably be a fortnight or so before the event. It's on the 13th of May, which I'm pretty sure is a Saturday night. So I'll launch this pod when I get back from New Zealand. Really looking forward to that. I'm excited and nervous all at the same time. That's how I know it's going to be good. Moore Park, I've never raced there. I've raced in New Zealand 3 or 4 times, but it was all at the 3 times. It was all at the Burt Munro in multiple disciplines, which was heaps of fun. But originally I went over there to race a long track and never got to do that because it got cancelled. So really looking forward to doing some dirt stuff there. And it should be awesome. We'll be catching up with family and friends and keeping it sideways as always. Keep it sideways, guys. Go Flat Tracker. See you next time.
Go Flat Tracker, go, go, go.